Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody, and happy International Women's Day, right? So I'm on this amazing event today with a whole bunch of ladies. Could you imagine? Sorry, Valentina, that doesn't really count for you, but that's the way it goes today. Ultimately, we are all here today to join this webinar with some amazing ladies. And the topic today is bringing the human back to the center of education. Sorry, guys, I got the back before the front. But anyway, ultimately here today, I have three amazing ladies. Sandy Herrera, she's the co-founder and CEO of Humanize EDU, formerly Educator Dynamics. Dr. Stacey Herrera, she's the co-founder and chief impact officer of Humanize EDU and CEO of Herrera Psychology. Guys are really getting me on Women's Day today with time. With words. And then last but not least, we have Dr. Megan, and she is the culture curriculum genius at Humanize EDU. So I'm bringing these ladies on today, and if the team can spotlight them, that would be amazing for the meantime. And while we're bringing everybody on, please drop a message to tell me where you are. I'm Michelle. I'm the Chief Partnerships Officer in Genius U, and I'm sitting in Athens on a Friday evening. And these ladies are in the US, so we're far away, but we're all connected. Yeah. So hi, ladies. How are you?
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
You, Michelle, as always.
Nice to see you. Good to see you guys have all got the same background. I'm kind of feeling a little bit left out here.
Right. We're gonna have to tell Roland he forgot.
You guys didn't let me know I needed to, at least the right color shirt, right? So that we all kind of, we coordinated that on a telepathic way, like I must wear a black shirt, right? Because no one told me, right? Sorry. But it's all good. So I'm just teasing for today. But drop in the chat where you are coming from. And Sandy, where are you dialing in from today?
I am actually in Maine. I am in the Northeast. Nice. It is a beautiful sunny day and like 35 degrees outside Fahrenheit. So it's
okay. I was gonna
It looks pretty. I'm just gonna leave it out there. It looks pretty.
Looks pretty and it's beautiful. All right. And Dr. Stacey, where are you dialing in from?
I'm here in Nokomis, Florida on the Gulf Coast, and it is approximately 80 degrees and sunny outside.
You guys talking in Fahrenheit, and I'm the poor person in Europe who's dealing with centigrade, right? Like, what is that? And Dr. Megan, where are you dialing in from today?
I am about an hour and a half north of Dr. Stacey. So I am also on the west coast of Florida. So experiencing the same type of weather. It's pretty hot out there.
Sounds good. But you guys are wearing jerseys, so I'm not really sure what's going on because you're confusing me. If it's so warm and beautiful there, like here in Athens, it's not bad. It was a beautiful sunny day, but we've got this icy wind that's feeling through that we're going to hit the last snows of the spring season, something like that. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good. So, ladies,
Elizabeth in Jamaica too. So Elizabeth did warm. Awesome.
Definitely. So we've got a couple of people from all around the world. We've got Las Vegas here. We've got South Florida. We've got Philippines. We've got Toronto. There's kind of a couple of people in Toronto here. So interesting, right? Nice. So all good. So today, how this is going to work is we're kind of going to hit some questions, right? But I'm not sure who's going to answer what. So this is the surprise for today. And we've got some amazing news at the end of this, where Sandy, I'm guessing I'm going to share, or you're going to share, or something like that. You're going to let me know like what the opportunity is at the end of this, because we're getting on this webinar because there's really an exciting thing to get involved in. And that's why we're going through who you guys are, what you're doing, and what's making a big impact. But at the end of this conversation, there's definitely something that you guys need to take into account, and you need to look at it and say, oh, I want to get involved, or I want to do something, and I want to take a step into the right direction. So heading that up now so that you guys are all aware that we are going to be telling you something really amazing at the end of this. And I will let you know who's going to be doing that. Right? So should we start? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacey,
down.
We don't know.
Well, I kind of got it like the four of us on here, and I've got below me is Sandy, then Dr. Stacey's like that, and then Dr. Megan's like right next to me. So I'm kind of on this weird side over here where I kind of look a bit out of order.
Same order from. I think we should check that every time we're on Zoom. It's like, wait, who's in what order? It's like this massive puzzle adventure that we get to figure out.
It's all good. It's all good. All right. Drop in the chat if you're ready to hear what we've got to say, because I'm excited. And I think these ladies are amazing. And the last time I saw you, actually, you guys, we were in Bali, right? Can you believe that? So, yes. Interesting times. Yeah.
We were in Bali. It was October. Been a while.
I know. Time flies, right? That's like almost 6 months ago. Can you believe it? Anyway.
Crazy.
All right. So I'm going to hit the question, how it's going to work today. And then you ladies are going to decide who's going to answer, right? I guess. Yes.
I feel like we're playing a game show.
No, it feels like a game show because nobody told me who's going to answer the question. So
We're going to hit our buzzers.
Sorry. But, sometimes in life, you've got to actually just see the bright side of everything and enjoy what you're doing, right? So I think it's amazing. We'll be surprised and we'll see who picks up the question the fastest, right? Exactly, Mary. Fastest finger first. All right. So we're hitting the first question today. And I think, the biggest question I have is, you guys put it kind of like, what is humanized EDU? But for me, it's like, how does humanized EDU redefine the essence of education? Like, what does that actually mean? And how does that tie in? So who's going to hit the button first?
Stacey, want to go? Stacey and I are like, not it. It's this whole sister duo. So just to clarify, Stacey and I are sisters. I am the little sister. Okay, I'm not the littlest, but I am the younger sister. And Dr. Megan has been working with us for several years as well. So she is like a pseudo sister. And so on International Women's Day, it's perfect that we have our other sister from Europe, Michelle, joining us and hosting this. But really, Humanize EDU, it's about creating psychologically safe working and learning environments in our schools. And we know that there's challenges all over the world in education, and they stem from the most basic challenges of not enough access to, massive traumatic things happening like school shootings, and everywhere in between with daily instances. And really, our mission is to actually bring the proactive solutions to the forefront and get to the root of all of these traumas and heal the system of education from the inside out. And it really starts with who each individual is, because there's no culture in an empty building. The culture is the collective capacity of who everyone shows up as. And so the work that we're doing together, not only with school culture transformation, but with youth mental well-being and empowerment, is to really ignite the inner genius in every human that is in every learning environment and have them own the brilliant humans that they are, and giving the tools and strategies and really proven roadmaps that our schools are all psychologically safe places to work and learn.
Amazing.
So I know what I've found within the school setting is that when working with students as a licensed school psychologist, and Megan can speak to this as a school counselor and licensed mental health clinician, that we find often if the teachers don't know how to model self-regulation, if they don't know how to really advocate for themselves and be in a good spot themselves, it's very challenging for them to teach the children. And if the children aren't regulated, they're not in a place to learn. And so it's really so important to us that we are creating these holistic systems that wrap around not only the students, but the educators, really uplifting education globally.
It sounds
amazing.
amazing.
I want to take a little step back, Michelle, if I can, and kind of introduce each of us a little bit more to our audience.
Yeah, so I actually thought let's go back a step, right? Because I just want to then tap that in because, sorry, Stacey, I don't know if you want to be called Dr. Stacey, but it sounds kind of like Dr. Phil kind of. So I'm just going to call you Stacey because I love you, right? But the point is maybe give a little bit of background into you and what you do. And yes, you've tied it together, but who are you and why is this important to you? And then we'll jump into, Megan just now, if that's okay. just to kind of give a bit of a background to why we're actually sitting here today, because Sandy and I've been working together for a really long time, but I think the two of you, to bring it together, to maybe just give your personal views before Sandy jumps in. Yeah, how does that sound?
Beautiful.
Awesome. So
for me, working with children has been a lifelong passion. And from a very early age, I was often placed in looking after the littles. And so it was a great opportunity to be able to become a school psychologist and really look at the mental health side and the way in which students learn, and to work with students one-on-one. It's been a fantastic profession, and really fits and aligns with who I am. And then I began to recognize that as only one person, the demand is so high and the need is so great that we have to find other ways to band together if we are to really move this boulder, massive problem. We have to begin to work together collectively. And so to be able to partner with my sister, who has been doing awesome work in transforming school cultures. She began in Nevada. I was working within schools here in Florida, and to invite her out, this is a funny story, to invite her out for Thanksgiving. And I'm working at a school, Imagine School at Northport. And I said to Alicia, the principal at the time, I said, hey, so my sister does this super cool thing. I don't know if it'd be, you don't necessarily have to buy. I'm not a good salesperson. So I'm like, you don't have to buy. But if she could come and talk to you, for a half an hour, then she could write off her plane ticket and it would be like super cool. Recognizing that
the accountant is coming through. Sorry, the steal is coming through. Right off your plane tickets.
Yes. What? Yes, we can solve this problem this way, right? But you have to meet this human first. And so for Sandy to come in and be able to virtually work with this team, we have seen such great gains, and Megan will share the data with you in a little minute. And then, working within the schools and having the private practice, I was so thankful to connect with Megan and have her join our team. And once Sandy and I shared our vision, I'll let Megan share with you like her response to that, because it was just like, it was synergy.
Amazing.
And I was like, oh my God, she does exist. I've been dreaming of Megan in a really appropriate way.
Great lead-in. Yeah. So I've been working in the mental health field. Oh my gosh, like the other day when Sandy and I were trying to figure out just how many years between the two of us experience we have, I was like, oh gosh, this makes us sound so old. But I've been doing this now for over 10 years, probably like closer to 12 years now, I think, working in the mental health field. But my bachelor's degree was in education. And then I couldn't actually get into the school systems because at the time when I graduated, the economy was in a really bad place and there were hiring freezes. So I ended up working at a mental health facility because I was able to use my degree there. And then it just fit. I loved it. So I went back to further my education and became a licensed mental health counselor, where I got my master's. But I actually got a dual master's in school counseling also because of my love for education. So and then I actually was able to get into the schools, and I worked as a school counselor for several years to trying working within the school setting, bringing about change. And I did a lot of training with teachers, as what Stacy was saying. It's so important to help the staff learn how to self-regulate, learn how to advocate for themselves, because we talk about social emotional learning so much for the students, but it starts from above. We have to model what we're teaching, because that's another way of teaching. Students and children, they learn through modeling. So that was a big thing for me, was instilling that and bringing about that change. And then I was introduced to Stacy through a mutual friend, and I started working with her, and I met Sandy that way. And that's when they introduced Humanize EDU. And I happened to be working on my doctorate at the time, which actually very soon ago, like a week ago, I finished it finally.
Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you. And my dissertation topic was looking at the emotional intelligence level of principals and the impact on teacher retention. So when Sandy and Stacey were talking about their vision for humanized EDU, I'm like, huh, like that is what I do. Like, this is what I love. So I was like, how can I get involved? And it just grew from there. So
skyrocketed
I'm so
from there,
excited.
right? Yeah, it's very cool. So,
Yes.
so Sandy, I'm going to come back to you, right? Because you kind of went into the humanized EDU, but like I actually want to know, because your sister and obviously Dr. Megan have like given their like spark, and I've known you for a while now, and we've gone through these conversations, and we actually work together in the business in different things and what have you. I want to know that spark, right? What is it for you? And why do you think you guys are going to be solving these problems, right? What are the things that you, between knowing you and all of the visions that you have, right? Because you're definitely the creative in the business, right? How is that going to solve this with like how you see this vision and how you're bringing it all together?
Thank you. If I go back to where the initial spark for this work happened, it was when my son was just starting his schooling, and we don't have all the time in the world to go through this, but the short version is he had a really unfortunate experience between one school and another, that lasted for about a year and a half. And it had everything to do with school culture and nothing to do with academics. And as a first-time parent, it was really frustrating to not know and not understand, and then finally get to a place where Mama Bear came out, and it was like, my child is not going to feel like they're a bad person because he doesn't fit into this box. And I might have used a couple other expletives, but that's a different story. But to get to that place where you get so passionate about advocating for your child when they're too young to self-advocate, and recognizing that there are good learning environments, and the school that we ended up finding for him was brilliant. And there were a group of educators that really cared about him as a whole human, and the culture and the environment, you could feel that it was warm and welcoming from moment one. And so fast forward to several years later, I had the opportunity to work with Tony Hsieh, the former and late CEO of Zappos. And he had written his book called Delivering Happiness, and ended up turning that book into a company to help other companies use happiness and positive psychology as a business model and focus on the corporate culture at Zappos and the well-being of his employees first, and really believing that employee well-being comes before customer well-being, and that, you know, the customer well-being will take care of itself when you take care of your employees. And so being able to work as I got to have a fun title at Delivering Happiness as Culture Ops Diva, but really I was running internal culture and internal operations, and schools were reaching out and wanting to implement the strategies from the book. And because of my underlying mommy passion and fire for education, I started volunteering my time with these schools and teaching them the strategies that we were teaching corporations. And then fast forward 3 years later, I, with Tony and Jen, the CEO, pushing me out of the nest, saying, you're passionate about this work, go build it. We're going to keep delivering happiness focused on corporate culture transformation. But definitely it's needed in schools. So, you know, wings, fly out the nest. And so I started with a couple schools in Las Vegas and just started figuring it out and really just sharing what was working in the corporate sector, and have had just amazing results. There was humbled by the results at a high school I was working with, inner city high school in Las Vegas, that my son wasn't super excited that I was going to this school because it wasn't the safest neighborhood. And I was like, I'm fine. It's fine. Teachers go there every day. I ended up showing up in the parking lot, and it's not pretty. There's trash, there's graffiti. The architecture looks like a minimum security prison. Like, it's just, I walk in, just the apathy in the energy was palpable. And met with the leadership team, ended up coaching their administrative team for a year. Then the second year pulled together a culture leadership team, had them working, established the unique core values of that community, of where they could really articulate, this is who we are and this is how we do things here. a lot of leadership coaching, culture coaching, effective communication, trust building, bringing in neuroscience research and science of happiness, and lots of different modalities. And then at the end of year 3 of working with them, and I walk in, and it was the day after school was out. And so it was just their end of year staff meeting. And so there weren't students there, but I show up and the campus is like buzzing, and there's only adults on campus, but there's still the posters from the kids. There's no more graffiti. Like, it's clean, it's welcoming. Their school colors are everywhere. And I walk into this big library where they're having their meeting, and it's chatty, and it's a big potluck, and they've got cake, and they're exchanging gifts, and they're talking about stories of this student's success and this student's success. And they had gone from a 62% graduation rate to a 94% graduation rate in 3 years. They
That's
had
amazing, huh?
decreased their teacher retention, or increased teacher retention by 20%. They, and one of the things that it's one of the things I'm most proud of is having their assistant principal say, Sandy, you know what, on the last day of school, when we normally would have school police from other schools coming here because it wasn't safe, this year, yesterday, and we had normal attendance, we had 0 incidences of behavior at all, and our school police went to other schools.
That's
And I was
amazing.
like, that's why I do this work, is because our children are worth it and our educators are worth it. And if we don't start shining a light on the health and well-being of our educators alongside of the health and well-being of our students, we're not going to make the sustainable impact that is so needed in our working and learning environments. And I can't not do this work. And I need help. That's what this webinar is all about. And so partnering with Stacy and really merging not only the youth mental health side, but the school culture transformation, and bringing Megan in to help with designing our curriculum, and ensuring the fidelity of everything that we're doing, really allows us to be growing our team. We have a tremendous operations team behind us as well. And now today is about, we need more people joining us in this mission and vision. And so we have a beautiful invitation for all of you to join us.
Well, I think that's the thing, right? Is we can't actually do this by ourselves. Yeah, we can't just sit here and in the way the world is going today. And if you follow anything on any channel, on any space, the one thing that brings us together is collaboration. And it brings, the more of us actually stepping up and bringing something together and lifting things upwards is what's going to take the change to go forward. And so if we each keep sitting in, like I was at dinner and I was talking to some of our friends now, and it was around, I don't know how you guys, but I think we've grown up in a similar thing, that you clean out your house first, right? You have the value systems that you do, and you bring them out and you put them on the table, and you're like, well, I'm going to clean my circle up first, right? And what the beauty here is that you guys have, as a family, come together and cleaning up the circle together, so it becomes duplicated. And now you're bringing in Megan, and now you're bringing in Genius U, and now you're bringing in all of these other educators. And it's as that expansion moves through, right? This is the power of it. And if we continuously have this mindset that we have to fix something ourselves and we don't collaborate and do things together, the change is never going to happen. Yeah. So for me, that's the exciting part here. And that's in itself being part of something that can make a change that's bigger. Because yes, you guys are experts in your field, but for me, it's like, how do I facilitate your experts? So we're all working together to get the same thing going forward, So I think this is a super exciting thing, because the more people that come in and join and get together to lift up consciousness in whatever space it is. This one happens to be in education and, that kind of space, and mental health. But I don't know, that's where the crux comes for me. Yeah. That we transform this awareness and we bring it further and we create those ripples that keep moving. Yeah. Because if we don't do that, then honestly, like, I don't know what the world is looking like right now, but it's not looking super happy to me. Anyway, so thank you for sharing that. I'm going to kind of say the next step is, because you kind of described your journey and everything that you guys are doing. So I know we don't have all night here, and we could talk about this topic for long hours, right? But I think the next question that I have is really around this psychologically safe working learning environments that actually changes. Like, how do we create this that makes the change that almost pushes that psychological stuff outwards so that it changes the world going forward. And I think probably Stacey's going to answer that one. She's going to start with it, and the rest of you can jump in, right?
Definitely. Wow, I'm all about the visuals and the data and the research. And so it's really important, I think, to go back to kind of the essentials of workplace mental health and well-being. And so we're looking at fostering all of this within the school setting, within the classroom setting. All of these pieces are vital to allowing everyone to thrive. Psychologically safe means that I feel seen, heard, and valued where I'm at, that I feel like I have a protection from harm. There's connection and community. Sandy was retelling that story. She could visibly see it. It was palpable within that school, that there's this work-life harmony going on, that people feel like they matter. This is that beautiful ikigai spot, right? That I have a purpose and I'm able to provide for myself and my family based upon this purpose within my life, and that there's opportunity for growth. We as humans love to learn. And so it's really, really important. So Sandy shared this slide with me that she often shares with her school leaders upon their first meeting. And it's an older study, but I really think it speaks volumes about where we're at right now, where I will show you statistics about the burnout rate with regards to educators. And if we had another slide on the burnout rate of parents, it would be just as high. So if we are able to get to this happier place, focusing again on that positive psychology, on the way in which we show up culturally within this system, we're able to increase productivity, right? Have higher retention and more innovation, which is so needed right now as we have this huge AI wave coming into education. How are we going to integrate it without pushing back against innovation? All of these pieces are vital. So really the science of happiness, right? Martin Seligman kickstarted this back in the he started in the 1970s, but it became very popular in the 1990s. And we just want to infuse this within our learning environments. So we know that the pillars of this science of happiness are that purpose and meaning, the positivity. We're not talking about toxic positivity. We're not talking about just squashing our feelings down and really diminishing people's existence, because we are all going through a lot right now. Positivity in recognizing that others are going through a lot, having that connectedness to understand that we all can't put on a happy face some days. The engagement. Right now, we talk so much about student behaviors and how the behaviors are getting in the way of their learning. And yet this generation of students really requires a higher level of engagement. They are not going to sit as we did in the classroom and listen to an hour lecture. It is not going to work for them. We have to find a way of incorporating them, and they have to see their own progress. We also know that the CDC says all of these things reduce mental health symptoms. We just need to connect. In order to prevent and promote mental health, we need to allow students and parents to feel part of the school community. We need to really value educators in some areas, and a number of them here in the state of Florida. Educators have felt like they have been under a microscope, and they are constantly feeling under attack. So again, building strong bonds and feeling that connectedness is so valuable, and it's what we're looking at. I do have some additional slides with regards to the youth mental health crisis. So we can go into those in a minute, but I do want you to be able to ask some other questions.
Yeah, and I think, it's always good to share this kind of stuff. So maybe if I jump a little bit to Dr. Megan, I think, I'm going to cover all the areas today, but I really, I think the purpose of this webinar is really to inspire that you're not on your own, and that you are here, and there is a community around that can make this change, right? Because I know that we cover all of the spectrum, and we link in wealth dynamics and stuff like that. So I'm going to come to Dr. Megan. It sounds kind of very like, you know. I'm going to come to you so you can give a couple of stats around, right? But not too many, so it doesn't overwhelm everybody on the data side, because I know that the steel side here is on this team is a little bit heavy. Yeah. So maybe we could just give a kind of a little bit of stats that gives everybody some context to everything that we're talking about. And then we can bring it back to, you know, I think what I'd like to bring it back to is the sense of community, tribe, care, nurturing, and what you guys are doing to actually make this work and why we're sitting here today. Yeah, how does that sound?
Yeah, perfect. And yeah, I have a few stats that I would like to highlight, that we've collected some data from schools that we have been working with, where, you know, Sandy doing the culture transformation and Stacy handling, you know, and her team doing the youth mental well-being, like from the Imagine School that was mentioned earlier, and seeing the progress and the positive outcomes that have come out of that partnership. One big one was an increase in staff retention by 3%, you know, because, you know, trying to keep teachers in the field is a huge thing. You know, obviously I studied that as part of my dissertation, and seeing that this helped to increase that was very exciting for me. There was also a 10% increase in a positive change in student behavior that was noted. And this was all done by survey, is how we collected this data over the course of a few years, and seeing how teachers reported this. There was a 6% increase in teachers feeling inspired to do their best at their job. I mean, that is huge. And I think that also lends itself to why teachers were deciding to stay teaching at that school, because they're feeling seen, heard, and valued, as what Stacy said. So it's a psychologically safe environment for them. And then finally, one of like the bigger stats that I really want to talk about is 25% increase in this feeling that everyone in the school is treated with respect. I mean, that is huge. So I feel like when we talk about burnout, that's one of the things that I hear a lot. And one of like the main reasons why teachers leave the field of education is because they're feeling like they're not supported. They're feeling like there's this lack of respect, that they're not valued. But by this partnership and going into the schools and doing this transformative work, there was a 25% increase in that feeling that everyone is treated with respect.
A question for you, right? If you guys continue to do this work, right, and you continue to like do the things that you're doing currently, those are the stats that you see, Megan, right? But now, let's say hypothetically, if you guys did this, I know you're working in ISA, you know, you're working in specific schools and stuff, but like, I'm going to really hit you with a steel question now, right? What are your predictions that if you were to continue doing this, and we were to grow this team, and we were to get more educators doing what you guys are doing, right? What kind of statistical impact do you guys foresee to happen? So you had a 3%, you had a 6%, you had a 10%, you had a 25%, right? In those areas, like, what do you see the increase to be? Like, you know, because remember, we're here to push this out so that more people do what you do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So if we would do that, you know, what kind of prediction do you foresee in the next couple of years, right? Let's call it 5 years.
I definitely see those numbers going up with the more, you know, people that we have on board, the bigger impact that we have, and the more support that we can provide for, you know, additional schools. I mean, I definitely see the numbers climbing.
I mean, you know, like the one thing around like being a teacher is a little bit of a, like, I come from South Africa originally. I'm in Greece now, right? And in South Africa, definitely teachers are I'm going to say undervalued and underpaid and all of those kind of things. But if we take a look at the traditional education system, right, you know, how everything was pushed down our throats for so many years in that format, right? It's an interesting component, because you bring in the fact of like that the feeling of respect kind of linked to burnout, right? Now, in my value system, and it could be rightly, wrongly, whatever, right? It was respect was always earned. So I wonder, and I'm going to throw this at any one of you guys, you can answer, and I'm probably going to think Sandy's going to come up with the back end to this, but it's like, how do we take what the past does and bring it into the future, increase these numbers, but also ensure that that respect is earned and driven, because respect just doesn't pop out of the sky and say, okay, we're going to respect you because you're a teacher, especially in today's day and age, right? It doesn't just say because you've got a title, you're going to be respected. Yeah. So what are you guys actually doing to formulate this change in the thought process, in the way that you're going ahead with this? And how can that then help other people, like other educators, do this? Because this is what we're talking about, right? How we get more people doing this to help the change go. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a tremendous evolution of consciousness that's happening, right? As a society, and we're doing it intentionally with schools. We're helping every individual understand their unique core values. And oftentimes, even when individuals use the word respect as a core value, I ask them for further details, because respect is an umbrella value. It means something different to lots of different people. And until we really get to the heart of what the core value is, not just a value we agree with, we're not speaking the same language. And so getting to the heart of teaching everyone how to articulate their individual unique core values, including students, including families, including all staff members, community partners, and we bring those together in a collective common language that says, this is who we are on our best day. This is how we do things here on our best day. Not some aspirational values of you should, because we all have probably heard several times the word should is connected to an undercurrent of shame, which is not healthy, right? And so if we can remove that word from our language, right, and say, I want to, or I need to, right? I'm choosing to versus I should, right? Do things intentionally, right? And this is all about creating our cultures on purpose. And how can we actually show up as individuals on purpose? Because culture is the collective capacity of who everyone shows up as. There's no culture in an empty building. So when we show up on purpose and we actually own who we show up as, because everyone's owning who they show up as, and we've actually given the tools and the strategies for that effective communication, now we can begin having these harmonious, conscious driven conversations, even if they're every once in a while crunchy, right? Or they're you know, there's a values violation where I feel a visceral reaction to something someone said or did. And I can then say, hey, my value of gratitude just is talking to me here. Can I circle back with you on this situation? And we're giving sentence starters. We're giving the opportunity for these educators and edupreneurs and students and families to have these communication tools and strategies. And it starts with, and I want to share my screen really quick, in the model that we're building. And it's going to be messy because I'm not going to go to slideshow just so I can bounce around. But to be focused on this me-we school model is really where we're getting the traction, is that it starts at the level of the individual student and educator. And that's where we begin our teaching. And then we get into the staff teams, the professional learning communities within the schools, the student groups, the classrooms. And then we go to the school-wide behavior strategies. And this is where we get that comprehensive, sustainable culture of well-being transformation. Whereas this is flipping the model on its head from how things are normally done in education, is we want to do, let's do things for the whole school, and then smaller teams, and then individuals. Whereas in reality, we're all unique, amazing humans, and how we show up as individuals, being seen, heard, and valued, helps us to then contribute to the we, which then creates the collective we. And we do that through evolving our consciousness through this tree that I've designed. I designed this several years ago, and this is adapted through several different thought leaders' work, including Roger Hamilton's Wealth Spectrum. But it brings in the chakra system, it brings in Maslow's hierarchy, it brings in Richard Barrett's work on leadership consciousness, and then really looking at what is trying to happen at each level of not only our internal culture, but our team culture, and then our overall school and organizational culture. And this is not static. We don't arrive at a certain place and then we're good forever. We're not checking boxes here. We're humans, we're dynamic, we're evolving. Because we can be, you know, buzzing along. I was doing this, driving down the freeway 80 miles an hour, because oops, I was speeding. And in values alignment with my girlfriend on the way to Sedona, you know, true freedom, you know, feeling good, and bam, hit a pothole 80 miles an hour. I am thrown back down into high stress, chaos, anxiety for sure, reactionary survival mode, and seeking safety, right? And then I'm damn pothole. My ego's driving the bus, blaming the pothole. It was the pothole's fault. I'll stick to that. It's fine. Had nothing to do with me speeding. Right?
Not. Definitely
something.
not, right?
Definitely not about me. It's all about the pothole. And then getting to this place where, you know, I had to have some courage to then know how to handle the vehicle, rely on myself, take my power back, and get my confidence about me to get safely to the side of the road, to then have the tow truck driver show up and not bite his head off as if it was his fault, right? I was able to allow the teamwork and the rhythm to happen to then get back on the road to freedom, right? So these happen in moments in our life, but they also happen as evolution throughout our lives and in the micro moments every day. And when we can talk about this, and then we talk about the mindsets, which Peter Diamandis and Roger really talked beautifully about the mindsets at each level of consciousness and how we evolve in really using our mindset to grow, just gives us another layer, which then leads us into really the trust, right? And this is where we bring in Brené Brown's work in the anatomy of trust, and having every individual look at their own self-trust as well as the team trust to create that ripple of positive, sustainable impact that we're seeking. Because again, culture is the collective capacity of who we show up as. And when we know our talent dynamics profile, our wealth dynamics profile, our team dynamics profile, whichever assessment you're using, to understand how your brain's naturally wired, you understand your unique core values, you understand how you're evolving, you understand your own self-trust. All these layers give us that sustainable foundation to growing and learning as a collective. And we get to do this together in a way that really just allows us as individuals and then collectively to be seen, heard, and valued.
Yeah, I love the way, you know, you've articulated, and I think those diagrams that you shared were really, really super powerful. So, you know, I think that's in the slides for anybody who's watching this today, because I think, you know, how you link everything in and bring it together to make that change leads us to this conversation now where, right, so we're doing all of this amazing stuff, right? It makes a massive difference because we know we need to make a change. But then, like, I'm going to say to, I'm actually going to hit you, Dr. Stacey, is why is this important to do this? Why do you think this is important to do this launch that we're doing today? Why do you think it's important now, like right now, right? Because there's so many things happening in the world today. And if you watch anywhere, like any mainstream space or any non-mainstream space, the world's a mess, right? So yes. I would say, yes, I know why we have to do it today, but why do you believe we have to do this, what you're launching today?
We right now are so disconnected as humans. We have allowed technology to distract us from each other. We've allowed the divisiveness of politics to get in the way of connecting with others. And we are social creatures. We need each other. And we need to teach our young ones how to be interdependent as much as they need to be independent. And in order for the next generation to take really good care of us in our old age, we really need to instill these values with them. They need to know how to regulate themselves and how to interact with others. And it starts within the school setting. But if the adults in the building are themselves distracted and burnt out, and they don't have the tools with which to navigate this ever increasingly complex world, how are they going to show up for the students? It's all about just taking the time to connect with them so that they can begin to see their own value. If they're constantly dismissed or put in front of a screen, the screen isn't teaching them how to value themselves. It's an interplay between humans. And it's really going to allow us to take control of the mental health crisis within our schools, within our youth. Globally, we have so many statistics right now that it is staggering to think about the number of students who are daily reporting a level of sadness that would allow them to be diagnosed with depression. That daily we're hearing about students who are thinking of suicide or attempting suicide. that daily these students are having such fears to just be in our school setting. We won't get into what's happening here in the States and how fearful it can be to simply be in school. And so
for
creating
sure.
cultures, yes, go ahead, Michelle. It's just, it's
No,
staggering.
it's hectic. It's a
Yeah.
staggering thing, and I think it's not necessarily getting any better, right? And so my question comes, I don't know, Megan, if you want to hit into this or Stacey wants to, but you guys can decide. The thing is that, we're talking about schools, right? What about before school? Yeah. Like, is this something, what we're talking about today, gonna empower, like preschool, like those kind of spaces? Is it gonna empower that space as well? Because for me, it's like I take a look at young people and we know that their brains are like sponges between the age of, let's say, 2 and 19, right? It's a kind of a big range here. So, when you take a look at the traditional school system, it starts at 6 or 7 or something like that. But what about that before spot? Because if I look at how the world is in crisis today, I kind of go, oh my word, I am super grateful I don't have kids, because it must be super difficult to actually navigate this space, right? So is there a possibility that it's ranging a little bit further than just the first time they hit school? Because sometimes there's stuff that happens before they hit school that actually needs to be resolved. And I think in the world that we're in currently, and the way technology works and the way it's easier to put them in front of a screen while you're doing stuff or whatever that looks like, right? There's no judgment in the space, because sometimes parents it just is, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way that whatever we're doing today and what we're talking about is actually going to go wider than just when the first part they hit school, right, at 7?
No, I'm so glad you asked that question. So I'm going to take it, Megan.
Sorry, Megan.
Sandy and I have connected with the Early Learning Coalition here locally. And it was about a month ago that she and I were able to provide workshops, one right after the other. So we had small cohorts of early learning educators. And for them, they are trying so hard to prep these students for school, but even it's that idea of outcome, and they must know their ABCs and they must know all of these things is really pushing down into early education. And again, they're feeling less valued, right, than the typical educator. And so we are working with the Early Learning Coalition on not only having done the workshops that we've done, but working with the directors. And so again, starting with the leaders. And once the leaders recognize that it can be different, then they're going to bring in their teams, who are going to bring in their students and their families. And this can really start with early learning and expand all the way into university learning, because it is based in the science of happiness. It is based in the idea that we collectively can show up in a different way. And if we all work together and see each other for the true, amazing, unique humans that we are, we can do amazing things. So thank you.
And it's really about like slowing time down, right?
Yeah.
And allowing every individual to be seen, heard, and valued, because at the speed at which technology is advancing every day, with AI and every new acronym coming at us that is more advanced than AI, I can't keep up, right? Is our human superpower is who we are together, is our intuition, right? That sixth sense that we have, that ability to connect and collaborate with one another and to really bring our consciousness to the forefront and become good, as Roger says, good drivers of AI, right? And be able to do, in order to do that, we need to be able to open our minds in a way that allows us to critically think and to problem solve and to ask better questions. And our brains do that once they feel safe. When we're not in a trauma response, when we're not in a fight, flight, freeze, or fawn state, we open our minds to be able to connect and communicate and collaborate and speak about what we do want versus what we don't want. And that whole transformation and evolution of our mindset really happens on a daily basis in our schools. And one of the things that has been one of our challenges to date is that there's only so many of us that are doing this culture transformation work. And so with what we're going to talk about next is our culture and well-being coach certification, to be able to bring together the first global cohort, that word, of 16 amazing humans that want to become certified as culture and well-being coaches in our schools. And we're looking for those individuals that can be on site at schools. Whether you're currently in a school and you want to get certified as an additional role that you have, or you are someone who wants to break into schools and do this work more, right? Where you have a group of schools that you work with. Either is an option, but this is our opportunity to really take the 15 years worth of work that we've been doing in developing this curriculum for culture transformation and for youth mental well-being, and be able to teach others how to do it so that it can happen in real time and we can actually accelerate our impact.
Definitely. Because I think, if we take a look at it, we're definitely here. And I think one of the big things here is we're launching this culture and well-being coach certification. So it aids into how you can make a difference today and how you can get involved. And like you said, 16 people. It's not a mass amount of people. We want to obviously expand it over time. But I think the point around all of this is that it starts with you, and it starts with why it's important to actually make the change now at any level. I mean, even if you are, that's where Stacey was bringing it in at, I'm going to call it preschool. Sorry, I'm not an educator, so bear my incorrect terminologies, right? Today, you've got to really be careful what you're saying. But about bringing this thing into multitude of different spaces. And I think, Megan, I'm going to say to you, like in your space, because you've been doing your your studies, I'm just going to say, because I lost the word. Right? God, it's late in Athens, right? I'm sorry, guys. So by bringing it in, why do you believe that this certification is important? Like, why do you believe it's important? And what do you think the benefits are right now in doing this, like for the people on this call or who's going to watch it later? Why, as an educator or somebody who's interested in this field, why would I want to do this?
It's completely transformative. I mean, the long-term and global impact that this certification will have, and to see the ripple of impact that it will have not only on students and the whole school community, but on the staff, and that we want it to be inclusive. When we are going in and doing this culture transformation, yes, we start with the leadership, we start with then we go to the teachers, and we go to the students, but we also include the families and in the community, because we do want that sense of connectedness and that community. So having that large impact and seeing like the transformative outcomes, like some of the data that I shared earlier, like with the staff retention, that feeling of the increased respect. And, I'm sure if we started looking at, actually Sandy mentioned the graduation rates, how that increased, and I'm sure we could probably look at like test scores even and stuff. So I mean, it's the possibilities are endless with the impact that this can have.
So I'm going to ask this question, and I don't know which one of you beautiful ladies is going to answer it, but Megan, you said, okay, so there's staff, there's leaders, there's students, there's all these pockets where you can start working. Like, let's say hypothetically, I'm interested today and I want to come and do this certification. Where am I going to start, right? Like, where am I going to start? Do I start with the leaders? Do I start with the students? Do I start with the kid? Where do I actually get involved, right? Because to be honest, this is a big picture, right? There's a lot of components that we have to fix, yeah? So with these 16 people that are going to join us, where would they start?
Like, it actually starts, it follows our MeWe school model. So this is a year-long certification program. This is not a quick one and done process. And it's truly about starting within and then working with a small team, whoever that small team happens to be. It may be just a principal and an assistant principal. It may be the entire administrative team. It may be a culture leadership team that you bring together. And then it's school-wide. And so we've broken it down into 9 virtual modules And so within each set of 3, so there's MeWe School 101, MeWe School 201, and MeWe School 301. And then we'll culminate with a 3-day in-person graduation. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you do me a
Please.
favor and share your that triangle again? Would that be
Yes.
possible? Because
Yes.
the reason I'm asking, is because I think it's important on where to start. So yes, we start with ourselves,
Mhm.
But if we take a look at this part, when you just referred to is like, okay, do I start with small team and a principal and a thing like that, right? So here we're saying we're starting, maybe just help me understand, and maybe this will help everybody else. You know, when I start with the me spot, I've got student and I've got educator. When you brought that in, Sans, you said kind of like, I'm maybe going to start with a principal. So maybe break that down for me a little bit, to like, because I'm a little bit, not so smart as you on this space. But if I am an educator, do I start with the principal, or I actually just go into the schools and I speak to the principal? How is that going to work for me? You know what I mean? I know I'm asking the how questions, but you're getting the steal today.
No, please, please. So the majority of those that we anticipate will become certified will already be working within a school. There will be a handful that will be coming from the outside, and so I'll answer that question next, because they're 2 different answers. So those that are working within a school. So for example, we have a learning strategist or a school counselor or an assistant principal or a principal that wants to become certified. They're going to start with their small leadership team at the school. So they will attend these trainings to become the one getting certified, and they will bring that information back to their small team.
Okay, I see.
Now, if we have individuals that are outside of the school setting that are not working in a school currently, they're currently not working in a learning environment every day. They will actually become certified, and we'll walk them through a business plan of what that will look like for them to be able to go and work within a school, or maybe it's a nonprofit organization that's connected to education. Maybe it's a different environment. So we'll work with them one-on-one to design where is their path, and who do they want to really make an impact with. So Stacy mentioned all early learning all the way through university. We've had experience in impacting the culture at the university level, at UNLV, at the College of Southern Nevada, and a couple of others across the nation. And so working with early childhood now really kind of spans the depth of educational learning environments. And then there's also learning environments, for example, where we've got virtual schools popping up. And so those virtual learning environments that are maybe focused on learning guitar or learning piano, that's a learning environment, and the culture matters. And so we can also work in those learning environments and ensure that that culture is one of well-being.
Okay. I think the biggest thing is, I'm going to share, how you can get involved now. But I think, when we take a look at, this component, I think the first step is to say, you know what, I actually do want to get involved, right? I want to actually be certified and do this. So those of you that are watching, drop in the chat, like, if this is something that interests you, like for me, it's like, yes, I actually want to work with people who want to change the world of education. So drop a yes in the chat, because this is important, because I think, what I'm hearing, Sandy, and you can always correct me, because I know we've only got a few moments left, but it's around, I'm going to fix me. I'm going to then take this in whatever format I'm wanting to do, whether I already work in schools or I don't work in schools, but I want to do this, right? That I can then go ahead and there's a program that fits me uniquely in your space that takes me to the next level, so that we can transform the world of education in a different format. Is that the right summary that I got?
Absolutely.
Here?
Because then it has a ripple effect into our families and into our companies, and then ultimately our world, which is why we're so passionate about starting with the mental well-being in our schools, because it does have that significant ripple of impact throughout the rest of the world. So it is accurate to say it is about changing the world, and we get to do this together. And so I don't know if you're going to share screen, or if you want me to, on the Culture and Wellbeing Coach website.
I think we've only got a few moments left, and I don't want to take the time. The team has dropped it into the chat. So guys, the website is super simple. And if you take a look, it gives you reasons why you should join and that kind of thing as well. I don't think I necessarily need to share my screen. I think I'd rather have the 4 of you, well, the 4 of us on the screen. But the point is that the website is around applying for a scholarship, definitely, right? And getting connected on this. And what we want to be doing is the reasons you should be applying today for this is because if you're passionate about education and you're passionate about doing this thing that's going to create a change, right? What my favorite part of today's webinar is that each time each one of you spoke about your magic, your faces like they light up, right? And they light up and they're like, okay, I can make a difference. So if you believe that you can make a difference today, then guys, click on the link, do the thing. It's not really it's not brain surgery, right? If you want to be making a difference, do the difference. Yes. And I think it's also about, because you're going to get this transformation, you're going to learn something that's going to create a global impact. There's also giving you that leadership boost, right? So that you're actually having some kind of certification and that you've got something behind your name. And then also you can definitely work in a bit of a hybrid format from what I'm understanding, right? That you can connect with you guys all around wherever we are at whatever given point in time. Hopefully you start hitting into Europe at some point and you come to Greece, but that's the point. Yeah, that's the point. So I think, guys, the definite thing that to do here is apply, right? Because if you don't apply, you don't have a chance. It's like the lotto. If you never click on something, you never get anywhere, right? So for me, it's around, there's an exciting part in education and we really, really need to do that. So I'm going to risk going 5 minutes over our allotted time, and I hope that's okay. And I'm going to come to each one of you and say, what are your nuggets from today? Because I know we've talked about a whole bunch of cool stuff, but what are the nuggets that you want to share, you know, with this community to take the next step? So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Megan, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I would say, and I love all the engagement in the chat. I'm seeing everyone saying yes. Like I see that your spark is ignited. So definitely, please apply for a scholarship. And also, just so you know, Monday the 11th is the deadline to apply. So please do not wait. Don't go back and forth about it. Just do it. Like what Michelle said, right? Be the difference, right? Be the change you wish to see in this world, as Gandhi says, right? So definitely excited to hopefully work with you in the very near future.
It'll be exciting. So Sandy, I'm going to come to you next, so we balance out the steel and the dynamo, right? And the
I love it.
I love it. So I'm going to come to you next. What is your nugget for everybody listening to this today?
Take the leap of faith, right? It truly is about investing in yourself first so that you can create the ripple of impact that you dream of. And it is possible. We're doing it, and we want you to join us. So I am super excited for you all to be applying for this scholarship. Be gentle with yourselves on the video requirement. Have fun with it. Make it playful. Don't get stressed out about the video requirement in the application. It is a fun way for us to be able to award the scholarship. But there's 2 scholarships. There's one that you get at 100% free, minus travel and accommodations for our in-person graduation. The second scholarship is 50% off. So definitely apply. They're very good odds for you to win. We can't wait to see your beautiful little videos and applications. And reach out if you have questions. We're here along the way, and feel free to direct message us throughout the weekend. We'll answer your questions.
So I heard, don't be scared about a video, right?
Don't be scared about the video. Don't be scared about the video requirement. Do something fun. Just it's okay.
Jump out of the box and do something. All right. Awesome. Stacey, your nugget for today.
It's funny, I was going to give a how-to on the video, knowing that yesterday I was asked to do an impromptu 1 minute, and I was like, what? So ChatGPT can be your friend to create a script. Pop up your phone on some books, hit the little record button, find a Gen Zer to edit it for you, send it in. You can do it. Most of all, I just want to thank you all for showing up, knowing that there are others out there that are just excited about transforming education is inspiring. And so with that, my hope for you all is that you will share this out. If it's not for you this year, then maybe it's for the other 10 educators in your life, because I know you all know at least 10. So kindly share this information out, because we are looking for 16 this year, and next year we're gonna go big. So we look forward to all of you joining us.
Amazing. So guys, you know, for me, this big nugget is that the world's in a complete chaos at the moment. And if we don't have people that step up and take the lead and lead from the front, like these three ladies, we're not going to see the change we want to see. So if you want to be part of this and you want to be part of making a difference and stepping up, each one of us have our own purpose and we have our own space where we show up and we can make a difference. But if this is your thing, guys, it's just go ahead, right? Because I think for me, it's around really the world is a mess, like continuous mess. So let's make it a difference. Let's step up and say we're here for a purpose. We wake up every day. We're passionate about what we do, and we're actually going to do something that's going to make a difference. You know, like the older you get, and when your birthdays start ticking over, right? Then you're kind of going and you're having this reflective moment, and you're going, ooh, right? Have I actually stepped up and done something that's going to make a difference? And maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Be inspirational, do the thing. You know, what's the worst that can happen is you actually make a small difference to one soul, right? One soul, and who knows, right? You never know what that's going to bring. So guys, thank you very much for joining us today. Send some love in the chat and drop some stuff for the ladies for being here tonight. Oh, sorry. Good morning for you guys in the States. For me, good evening.
Night, morning,
And I
afternoon.
really
It's all
appreciate it.
Thank you.
So thank you, everybody. Thanks,
Bye.
ladies. Appreciate you guys. And have a great weekend. Good luck with your applications.
Thank you.